Good morning, America. Explosive allegations. News this morning that the FBI shared unsubstantiated reports with Donald Trump that he was personally compromised by the Russians, claims he was filmed during a visit to Moscow. Russia denies it this morning, and the president-elect lashes out, calling it fake news, a political witch hunt. His senior advisor, Kellyanne Conway, joins us live as Trump faces his first press conference since the election this morning.
Flooding disaster. A major winter storm slamming the West, forcing high water rescues and mandatory evacuations overnight. As snow piles up, this avalanche spilling into a California home and cars spinning out on icy roads in the Midwest.
ABC News exclusive. Charlie Sheen like you've never seen him before. One-on-one, a year after his HIV diagnosis. How do you feel? How it's changed his life and what he has to say about that bizarre behavior.
I am on a drug. It's called Charlie Sheen. It's fun to kind of watch sometimes, but also just a little bit cringeable.
What he's revealing this morning.
Sorry.
Only on GMA.
Saying goodbye. President Obama delivering his final address to the nation as president, thanking the country for his 8 years in office.
You made me a better president, and you made me a better man.
Warning about the forces that have the potential to drive us apart, but hopeful about America's future.
Yes, we can. Yes, we did. Yes, we can.
The emotional farewell.
Live in Times Square, this is GMA with Robin Roberts, George Stephanopoulos, and Michael Strahan.
And we do say good morning, America, on this Wednesday morning. And President Obama delivering that emotional speech in his adopted hometown of Chicago last night.
Very different kind of farewell address. You saw him in front of that crowd of 20,000 people, but he did end. As he came onto the national stage, emotional moment there. That's when he was talking about Michelle Obama, even got Malia to tear up, but the theme was hope. That's what first drove him onto the national stage.
And he's leaving the same way he came in, a lot of grace and a lot of dignity. So.
Yeah, but the transition of power does continue.
It does.
President-elect Trump preparing for his first press conference as president-elect today. There's the Trump Tower right here in New York City, expected around 11 a.m. This morning. We're going to carry that live, and we're going to talk to Kellyanne Conway in just a moment.
She's live right here in our studio. But first, let's get to that breaking news. ABC News confirming Donald Trump was briefed by U.S. intelligence officials about unconfirmed claims he was targeted in a Russian effort to personally compromise him. This morning, Russia and Trump are firing back. ABC's chief investigative correspondent Brian Ross is here, has all the details for us. Good morning, Brian.
Well, good morning, Robert. Donald Trump and his aides are angrily denouncing the unsubstantiated reports developed by Democratic operatives that he was personally compromised by the Russians in the most salacious way, and that his aides were in league with the Kremlin to set up the hacking of the Democratic Party. Fake news, he tweeted, a total political witch hunt. The allegations are supposedly from anonymous sources deep inside the Kremlin, talking to a former British spy. All contained in a detailed dossier the Democratic operatives gave to the FBI in August, and then later to news organizations, including ABC News.
Russian operatives claimed to have compromising personal and financial information about Mr. Trump.
Trump's nominee for Attorney General, Senator Jeff Sessions, was asked about the claims on Tuesday.
Senator Franken, I'm not aware of any of those activities.
Among the claims being challenged this morning, that Trump lawyer Michael Cohen was part of an ongoing secret liaison relationship between the New York tycoon's campaign and the Russian leadership, and met with them in Prague in August 2016. Cohen denied the allegations, telling ABC News, "I've never been in Prague in my life." Other allegations from the Democratic researchers revolve around Trump's travel to Moscow for a Miss Universe contest in 2013. And whether the Russians filmed him with prostitutes to be able to blackmail him if they so wished. The dossier provides no backup evidence, but the claims are hard to ignore.
This makes some claims that need to be investigated. There's no question.
The reports gained currency in intelligence circles as Trump continued his unrestrained praise of Vladimir Putin during the campaign.
I respect Putin. He's a strong leader.
And his ongoing defense of Russia over the hacking of the Democrats.
I don't think anybody knows it was Russia that broke into the DNC.
Trump was told about the allegations last week in the classified briefing he received from the heads of American spy agencies and the FBI. Senator John McCain actually handed over a copy of the allegations to FBI Director Jim Comey last month. allegations officials say are just too explosive to ignore. If true, they are a grave national security issue. If false, one of the great political smears of all time, Robin.
And Russia is already weighing in.
This morning, the Kremlin says it's nonsense. They called it pulp fiction. Of course, they also denied hacking the Democratic Party.
That's true, Brian. Thank you. George?
Okay, let's talk about this more now with Donald Trump's senior advisor, Kellyanne Conway. Welcome back.
Hi, George.
We just heard Brian say that the officials did tell Mr. Trump about this last week. Did he have any questions about it?
Well, first of all, that cannot be verified. That's a classified briefing, and we should all be increasingly concerned that we have, quote, intelligence officials divulging information in unsourced, unnamed fashion to the rest of us. And frankly, I think this is a very big moment for the media. Are we actually going to continue to cover fake news and uncorroborated, unsubstantiated reports, as was just said, in the event that it may be true?
These were unsubstantiated.
You just did an entire segment on it. It's unsubstantiated, uncorroborated. This is a report from the internet. This is not a report from the intelligence community. These 35 pages rife with misspellings, completely unverified.
Well, it becomes news, though. I mean, I take your point, but it becomes news if the intelligence officials did indeed present this information to the president. They presented it to President-elect Trump and President Obama as well.
George, we don't know that for a very simple reason. Nobody is allowed to talk about what occurs in these intelligence briefings. I mean, just to smear the president-elect of the United States, we now have intelligence officials divulging information that they are sworn not to divulge. We should all be very concerned about that. And I don't even think this is fake news. I think it's just fake. I would take the news word right out of it.
So you say it's fake. Is this a categorical denial of everything in the dossier? Are you sure that no one associated with Mr. Trump or your campaign met with Russian officials during the campaign?
Well, I certainly didn't. I wasn't talking to Moscow. I was talking to people in Macomb County, Michigan. That's how we won. I was with Michael Cohen last night and the president-elect and other advisors. Michael Cohen has never been to Prague. We looked at his passport. He was at USC with his son meeting with the baseball coach there when this, quote, dossier, very weighty, important-sounding word that I would also push back on. It's an internet report. There's a lot of crap in the internet, as we all know. And he was in California, not in Moscow, not in Prague. I mean, that alone, dragging through the mud innocent people as a way to add some flourish to what is already an unsubstantiated report, I think is very troubling.
And we did show Mr. Cohen's denial. I was asking a different question. Are you sure that no one associated with the campaign met with any Russian officials during the campaign?
That is our understanding, absolutely. And there would be no reason to. There would be no reason for us to. It's not how we won this campaign. It had nothing to do with Donald Trump's historic win. And frankly, it has nothing to do with why Hillary Clinton lost. Vladimir Putin didn't discourage her from competing more in Wisconsin and Michigan. Her campaign spent more money in Georgia and Arizona than they did in Michigan and Wisconsin. That should haunt them. This nonsense from the internet does not bother us.
At the hearing yesterday, Senator Sessions, at his hearing, said he has no reason to doubt the intelligence community's bottom line conclusion that President Putin ordered an influence campaign to interfere in the 2016 election. So does President-elect Trump now accept that conclusion?
Well, you can read his statement from last Friday. He made a couple things very clear, including that. He said
he lumped in China as well.
Because they've hacked 21 million records of innocent Americans who had their information through the federal government at the OPM, the Office of Personnel Management. These are 21 million Americans having their personal private information hacked by the Chinese. And I don't remember President Obama doing more than slapping them on the wrist.
But does President-elect Trump accept the conclusion that Russia was behind this?
He accepts the fact that Russia and China and North Korea and others have tried to hack. But what we also want everybody to know and accept is that there's zero nexus between any alleged attempt to disrupt our democracy and swing the election results and succeeding in doing so. There was no smoking gun, Mr. Clapper.
But the way you just answered it, said you lumped in China and others again. I'm just saying, does he accept the conclusion? It's a consensus conclusion.
That people are hacking all the time.
But that Russia was behind this.
And that Russia was unsuccessful in their attempt. I think it was also called they aspired and they attempted to influence our democracy, and they failed. And I'll tell you what, a lot of people in the mainstream media, maybe not here, but a lot of people in the mainstream media interfered with our election by trying to help Hillary Clinton win, and they too failed.
What do you mean by that?
Oh my God, George, there was an unprecedented deluge of criticism and rumors and innuendos against Donald Trump. There was an active campaign by many in the media against him in his effort to win the presidency. He overcame that, and I frankly think many in the media helped us because it was an anti-elitist election.
You think reporting on Donald Trump was an activity trying to help?
Hillary? Yes, I think we can evidence that. I'm happy to come up with the evidence that every headline, the race is over. He has no path to victory. He's going to take the House and Senate down with him. We were just ignored. On great days, we were ignored. On most days, we were mocked. And there was an active, really, an ongoing, active effort by many in the mainstream media to help Hillary Clinton win, and they misled their viewers and their readers by telling them that she would.
We will watch the press conference today.
Thank you. We'll be there.
Thanks for coming. Michael?
All right, thank you, George. Well, overnight, President Obama giving that emotional farewell address as president in front of his family in that huge crowd in Chicago, and ABC's Tom Llamas was there. Hey, good morning, Tom.
Michael, good morning to you. The president breaking tradition, not delivering that farewell address in D.C., but right here in Chicago, the city where he got his start in politics, and of course 8 years ago where our first African-American president had that victory speech after winning the presidential election. The speech last night, powerful, uplifting, and at one point the president getting very emotional. President Obama on his home turf in Chicago, saying goodbye from where it all started for him.
This is where I learned that change only happens when ordinary people get involved and they get engaged and they come together to demand it.
The president celebrating his victories.
If I had told you 8 years ago that America would reverse a Great Recession, take out the mastermind of 9/11, win marriage equality, and secure the right to health insurance for another 20 million of our fellow citizens. If I had told you all that, you might have said our sights were set a little too high.
The president seeming to take shots at some of President-elect Trump's policies and positions.
If we're unwilling to invest in the children of immigrants just because they don't look like us, we will diminish the prospects of our own children. That's why I reject discrimination against Muslim Americans, who are just as patriotic as we are.
And rallying his supporters to fight for change.
If you're tired of arguing with strangers on the internet, try talking with one of them in real life. If something needs fixing, then lace up your shoes and do some organizing.
The president then moving to the First Lady.
You took on a role you didn't ask for, and you made it your own, with grace and with grit and with style and good humor.
Wiping away tears while speaking about his family, telling his daughters,
"You have become two amazing young women. You are smart and you are beautiful, but more importantly, you are kind and you are thoughtful and you are full of passion."
The president ending his remarks with a play on that mantra that helped him get to the White House.
Yes, we can. Yes, we did. Yes, we can. Thank you. God bless you.
Now, as he was leaving Chicago last night for Washington, his last official trip in Air Force One as Commander-in-Chief, he sent out this tweet. Let's put it up there on the screen. The president tweeting, "Thank you for everything. My last ask is as my first. I'm asking you to believe in the ability to create change and in yours." Now, many of the supporters I spoke to last night saying, guys, this is not the last we've heard from the Obamas. Back to you.
All right, and thank you, Tom. And you saw the First Lady, and you saw Malia Obama, and everybody said, "Where's Sasha?" And he talked about his daughter as well. We found out, mystery solved, she was back at the White House studying for a test that she has this morning.
Hey, so priorities,
being
man.
the president's daughter does not get you out of tests.
A lot of people were asking that. And we also saw the picture, the family photo that Michelle Obama posted last night. She tweeted last night just talking about how proud she is of all that they had accomplished as a family together these 8 years, and finishing by
So now
I
we
love
can
you,
all
Barack.
hold Sasha and Malia over our kids, or Sasha over our kids, saying, "See, she stayed home and studied for her test." Let's talk to John Carl a little bit more about this. Right now, there were so many different speeches in one last night for President Obama, but one of the things at the heart of it, we all remember when he came onto the national scene talking about what holds the values that holds all Americans together. Last night, he was warning about what drives Americans apart.
Yeah, this was his Obama realist speech, saying that he believes essentially that American democracy, something as fundamental as that, is under assault right now. He's worried about racial divisions, political divisions. He's worried about so much of what was behind this election. He never directly attacks Donald Trump, but it was a pretty profound warning. And George, overwhelmingly, it was the message, I am not going away. He's going to be around here.
Yeah, he's been pretty open about the fact that the election results in November have changed his plans going forward about how involved to be. Meanwhile, in the news of the day, we just talked to Kellyanne Conway about these allegations about Donald Trump. You heard what Senator Sessions said yesterday in his hearing about the Russians, and a big hearing today. Rex Tillerson, President-elect Trump's nominee for Secretary of State, will get those exact questions as well.
Yeah, and you know, a few weeks ago, I would have said Rex Tillerson is probably the one that will be attacked hardest. This will be a tough hearing, but Tillerson has been telling senators privately that he understands that Russia is a threat, that he will be tough on Russia, despite the fact that as the CEO of ExxonMobil, he had dealings with Russia. He was close to Putin because he was, in effect, a business partner on a lot of projects. But we've seen excerpts of his speech, of his opening remarks, and he talks about how Russia poses a danger and that our allies are right to be alarmed by the fact that Russia is trying to be a resurgent Russia in the region.
And boy, so much pent-up demand for questions for President-elect Trump at that press conference today.
You know, this was originally supposed to be about his business dealings. This is going to be about a lot more than that. We haven't had a full-blown press conference from Donald Trump since July. A lot of questions.
That's right, and you and I will be covering this. It's going to be at 11 Eastern. ABC News is going to cover it right here. We will be here later this morning, but now we got to move on.
Yes, we move on from politics to that dangerous weather out west. Thousands are being told to evacuate from those floods in California. Kana Whitworth is in the middle of it all. Good morning, Kana.
Hey, Robin, good morning. The Russian River is rising again for a second time this week. Already, the floodwaters have impacted 500 homes in the area and prompted evacuations and rescues. It was just yesterday, an 83-year-old woman had to be rescued from her home right nearby. Now, this is already the biggest rain event that this area has had in more than a decade, and we have more rain on the way. Now, on top of the rising waters, officials tell me they are very concerned about the high winds in the forecast. They say this ground is saturated, and that could be a problem for the big redwoods in the area. Robin?
You hear that? All right. Thank you very much, Kana. We're going to hear from Ginger in just a moment. But first, Amy has the morning's other top stories, starting with that emission scandal at Volkswagen.
That's right. Volkswagen is close to agreeing on a major settlement in that emissions cheating scandal that's been plaguing the company. A $4.3 billion settlement could be approved as soon as today. The company is expected to plead guilty to some criminal charges. Well, a judge today will formally sentence Dylan Roof to death for the Charleston Church massacre. A jury took less than 3 hours to agree on the sentence. The self-proclaimed white supremacist becomes the first person sentenced to die for a federal hate crime. Dozens gathered at a vigil in Orlando to remember a police officer killed in the line of duty. The reward for information leading to the suspect in the murder of Master Sergeant Deborah Clayton is now $100,000. Well, another major retailer is announcing layoffs. Walmart is expected to cut hundreds of jobs by the end of the month, many of them in human resources. And finally, proof everyone needs a good break these days. There is now a 900-person wait list for what's being called goat yoga classes. This is happening in Oregon. That's where you can practice yoga while friendly goats wander around you. Not kidding. This with
Really?
Yeah, not kidding with this one.
Not kidding.
900 people waiting. Whatever floats your goat.
I got the kidding.
You didn't even have confidence in that pun today.
I know. I was like kidding. Well, you know, I did. But I love it. Last month in December, they called it holiday goat yoga.
Oh,
yeah.
There's a name for it.
Something for everybody.
You can see Ginger's expression out there, but what's going on out west there, Ginger?
Well, the goats are very cold in Portland, Oregon this morning because they had more than 8 inches of snow. That's actually a big deal for them. But look at this in Mammoth Mountain. That is 15 feet in the last 6 days. They haven't seen an event like this in more than a decade. And yes, it is helping the drought, but certainly not ending it yet. There is the current storm. It's going to move out. And the new storm that's going to drop even more rain. As Kana was saying, that Russian River still rising. Your local weather in 30 seconds. First, though, the snowy cities brought to you by Burlington.
We always come to Burlington to buy our coats.
And we also come to give them back, to help those in need. Can't beat the brands, the styles, and when we donate a coat at Burlington, we get 10% off our entire purchase. Burlington's been collecting coats for 10 years.
Bring in your coats! Look who's lining up to donate coats and share the warmth. For 10 years, together we've helped keep America warm. And now this year,
it's getting a little cold outside, so I wanted to remind everybody to go and donate a coat.
So go to any Burlington store to donate a coat and be part of our annual coat drive.
Get ready to enjoy today. It is going to be the warmest day since last Wednesday. We start out in the 30s, but temperatures will easily get into the low 50s across the area. Sunglasses on, but later today we'll have some rain after 5 o'clock. The bigger change comes tomorrow with highs in the 60s after morning fog. Now, this upcoming weekend, we are tracking a wintry weather system. Temperatures drop back to the 30s. Freezing rain and what looks like icy roads now throughout the day on Saturday. Stay tuned to Storm Watch 7. We'll continue to update you over the next few days.
Coming up, that GMA exclusive, Charlie Sheen going one-on-one with Michael a year after his HIV diagnosis.
I feel like I'm carrying the torch for a lot of folks out there that are suffering from the same thing, you know.
How it changed his life.
I have asthma, one of many pieces in my life. So when my asthma symptoms kept coming back on my long-term control medicine, I talked to my doctor and found a missing piece in my asthma treatment with Brio.
Once daily Brio prevents asthma symptoms. Brio's for adults with asthma not well controlled on a long-term asthma control medicine, like an inhaled corticosteroid. Brio won't replace a rescue inhaler for sudden breathing problems. Brio is specifically designed to open up airways to improve breathing for a full 24 hours. Brio contains a type of medicine that increases the risk of death from asthma problems and may increase the risk of hospitalization in children and adolescents. Brio is not for people whose asthma is well controlled on a long-term asthma control medicine, like an inhaled corticosteroid. Once your asthma is well controlled, your doctor will decide if you can stop Brio and prescribe a different asthma control medicine, like an inhaled corticosteroid. Do not take Brio more than prescribed. See your doctor if your asthma does not improve or gets worse.
Ask your doctor if 24-hour Brio could be a missing piece for you. Learn more about better breathing at mybrio.com.
There is a world like no other world where happiness can be found around every corner. Because here, the laughter has no limits. Here, the magic is endless.
This piece is so you. I saw it and I was just like, oh, I have to have it.
State Farm knows that for every one of those moments, there's one of these.
This piece is so you. I saw it and I was like, have to have it.
From renter's insurance to rewards credit cards, State Farm is here to help life go right.
When did mixing food with not food become food? Thankfully, at Panera, 100% of our food is 100% clean. No artificial preservatives, sweeteners, flavors, or colors. Panera, food as it should be.
When you're close to the people you love, does psoriasis ever get in the way of a touching moment? If you have moderate to severe psoriasis, you can embrace the chance of completely clear skin with Taltz. Taltz is proven to give you a chance at completely clear skin. With Taltz, up to 90% of patients had a significant improvement of their psoriasis plaques. In fact, 4 out of 10 even achieved completely clear skin. Do not use if you are allergic to Taltz. Before starting, you should be checked for tuberculosis. Taltz may increase your risk of infections and lower your ability to fight them. Tell your doctor if you are being treated for an infection or have symptoms, or if you have received a vaccine or plan to. Inflammatory bowel disease can happen with Taltz, including worsening of symptoms. Serious allergic reactions can occur. Now's your chance at completely clear skin. Just ask your doctor about Taltz.
From ABC 7 News, this is a Good Morning Washington update.
Good morning, Washington. I'm Melanie Hastings. Here's a check of your top stories. Police are on the hunt for a killer after a horrifying incident at the Westfield Wheaton Mall. 2 men were stabbed to death yesterday afternoon near the Hollister store. Police have not released the victims' names. It is unclear if they knew their attacker or what the motive was. Investigators are working to confirm a description of the suspect. In the Trump transition, 2 new confirmation hearings set to get underway this morning. The Senate Foreign Relations Committee will consider Rex Tillerson for Secretary of State. That starts at 9 a.m. And then at 10:15, the Transportation Committee will hear testimony from Transportation Secretary nominee Elaine Chao. And we're back to check on weather and traffic after a quick break.
Okay, I need a new truck, so I came to the #1 Ford dealer. Crystal gave me an incredible Coons wow price, thousands more for my trade, and boom!
When you're talking Ford, you're talking Coons.
When the Spanish explorers discovered Isla Morada, they called it Purple Isles. Today, they'd discover such a rich palette of diversions and delicacies, they'd definitely be at a loss for words. Islamorada in the Florida Keys.
It's Regency Furniture's 27th anniversary and the biggest savings event of the season. Great value store-wide. Save 50% on thousands of beautiful Regency furniture groups. 2-piece contemporary sectionals, now $8.95. 10-piece Regency wood bedroom groups, just $7.95 complete. Comfort plush sofa designs, now only $3.95. And 5-piece Regency dining collections at the lowest prices, plus free delivery. And Regency pays your sales tax. Celebrate Regency's 27th anniversary today.
As CEO of ExxonMobil, Rex Tillerson put Exxon's interests before America's.
I'm not here to represent the United States government's interest.
Instead, Tillerson sided with Putin. With billions in Russian oil deals, he opposed U.S. sanctions on Russia for war crimes. Forced to pay hundreds of millions for toxic pollution, putting profits ahead of our kids' health. Tell your senators to reject Rex Tillerson and protect American interests, not corporate interests.
I want to drive a new Jeep so bad.
I told Susan that Koons is the region's #1 selling Jeep dealer. It's pretty awesome.
More like Jeep heaven.
Start something new sales event at Koons Jeep in Tyson's Corner.
Wow, today's going to be one of the nicest days in about a week. Temperatures pushing into the low 50s across the area. Sunshine, it's going to be a nice day, but rain returns after 5 o'clock. 52 today, low to mid 60s expected tomorrow after some fog early part of the day. Bigger change comes this weekend. We're tracking a wintry mix, mainly freezing rain on Saturday, and what looks like we could have some icy roads around the area with temperatures falling back to the 30s on Saturday, 40 degrees on Sunday with rain returning late.
Veronica, getting reports of icy patches north of town, Frederick and Winchester, Hagerstown. Also traveling north of town near the Clovelly, Brookville area. Getting reports of icy conditions on Brighton Dam Road as well as New Hampshire Avenue. We are looking live, though, Capitol Beltway. As you head toward the George Washington Parkway, you can see the collision is going to take a couple of lanes and, of course, cause some bigger delays.
Everything Nature's Promise is so wholesome. And it doesn't take the whole paycheck.
Giant's exclusive Nature's Promise. Eat well for less. My Giant. Now save this week on select Nature's Promise natural pasta 10 for $10.
Beautiful home decor begins here. Belfort Furniture is expanding. Stop in and celebrate the new year with a fresh new look and save on the styles you love. Our remodeling event is on. To make room for our construction crews, we've drastically reduced floor samples, one-of-a-kinds, and special buys. Save on thousands of pieces. Plus, take an extra 15% off all blue tag items. The latest styles, the very best prices. Beautiful rooms begin at Belfort Furniture, Washington's premier furniture mall.
The Fur Salon at Saks Jandal is going out in style with a $6 million fur extravaganza. All furs 50 to 60% off, plus take an additional 30% off. Top designer furs, bottomed out prices at Saks Jandal, Wisconsin Avenue, Chevy Chase. Final day. Don't miss it.
97.1 Wash FM. Washington's variety of the 80s, 90s, and today. Start your workday commercial-free at 8 o'clock. 97.1 Wash FM.
This price is so low. Trying to make me eat my greens?
No, just trying to save you some green.
Thousands of blue tags, thousands of low prices. My Giant. Now save this week on T-bone steak, just $5.99 per pound.
You know how it is. Someone does something nice for you and you feel obligated to do something nice back. Maybe your aunt sent you a crocheted scarf and you sent her a thank you note and the crochet just kept on coming. Well, at CarMax, you don't have to return the favor. They'll buy your car even if you don't buy a car from them, because feeling obligated is uncomfortable and tight in places it shouldn't be. CarMax won't make you feel that way. Lucky you.
I feel like a quilt.